shit, man. I can't even believe we're talking to you. Feels crazy. It's 3 a.m. over here.
It is.
Oh, fuck.
So a
To be
little
fair,
delusional right now.
we both get up pretty early for work, so we're kind of just like a couple hours earlier than we normally be.
Oh,
There's
what the
nothing
fuck?
too
You get up at
crazy.
like 5 or 6 a.m. You get up for work.
I open at 3 a.m.
4:30.
sometimes, yeah.
Oh, what the fuck? What do you do?
At Starbucks.
Fuck, man.
Yeah,
That's way too early.
they hate
For a
us.
start, who the fuck is it? What? 3 a.m. for a Starbucks. How long does it take you to set it up? Like 5 hours? When do they open?
we
Like to the
open
public?
it. They open at 3:30, so we have to get there at 3, and then
No.
yeah.
Atrocious.
Jesus.
This should be a crime. You shouldn't be allowed to work like that.
Yeah, that actually. I mean, I'm pretty sure that is a crime in some countries, but
It probably is,
good old
yeah.
America, man.
No,
In
yeah.
America, you can do what you want, right? Like,
Okay, you feeling ready to be reviewed? This is gonna be the. Actually, wait. What's we were debating how to say your name before this all started.
go on. Why don't you say it to begin with, and then I'll tell you.
I wanted to say Hugh.
Boom. That's it.
Hugh Millward.
That's it.
It's the Welsh way. It's the Welsh pronunciation of like Hugh with a Hugh,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just
Mm,
like a
mhm.
weird Welsh language version of it.
I like it.
Yeah, spot on, man.
Sweet. And then Millward, right?
You got my fucking last
The
name
last
wrong
name.
though.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen. It's transitioned from Millward to Millweed to now it's milkweed because that's what our like
Milkweed.
laptops always autocorrect it to. So
Fucking hell, I'm getting cooked in the chat, and there isn't even a chat. Like, what is happening?
yeah.
I was like, I saw it and I thought, like, how do you get weed out of ward? Like, you go to a hospital ward and go, hey, where's the? Oh, I'm on weed 6. Like,
Yeah.
like first name, I'm always expecting to get cooked, but
It's a great like pen name
oh,
if you
sorry.
ever need one, though. You know.
Yeah. Ah, yes. I'm Zebediah Milkweed.
Zebediah Milkweed. Yeah.
it's a banger. Okay. We'll start off with a very professional question that I've written down here. Are you ready for this?
Go for it. Yeah, man.
Okay. I wrote who is Mr. Milkweed really? Just for the people that
good
don't
question.
know or don't follow you, right? Like people are gonna stumble upon this. Who are you?
Well, that's a good question, mate. I don't know. I ask myself that every time I take a big dab of acid, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm just some guy, man. I'm just some guy that made a game, and then I made it to learn how to code. It wasn't actually intentionally meant to be a game for anyone. I did want to be a game dev, but I didn't think I would be. So I was just fucking around learning the code, and
Mhm.
then I put it on Reddit, I think, and itch.io, and some people started playing it, and occasionally I got sent money and stuff, and I was thinking, oh shit, okay, this is cool. And then after a little while, I started working on a different game, working in a bar, working on this like post-apocalyptic game. I was just really excited for Fallout 4 to come out. Fucking what a letdown that was. But hey, fucking, I was working on that game for a while, and then the code for the game got wiped, and it was really depressing. And I was like, "Do you know what? Like, fuck this." And I went partying for a while. You know, I wasn't really even coding anymore. But I was like, I still had the itch for it. So I came back. I picked up this old war simulator project that I had, and I was like, "Hey, why don't I keep working on it?" And I just kept adding weird shit to it. And eventually, there was a decent enough community around it. It felt like it was a game that had a community. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, why not
Mhm.
submit it to Steam? And it cost $100, and I was a bit concerned that that was going to be a waste of money, and but I'd never see that again. But I thought, fuck it, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I think Warsim at the moment on Steam has made about $391,000, so it
God
paid itself
damn.
back.
Yeah, oh, just a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh shit. Fuck.
just a little bit, just a little bit. Obviously, I don't see all of that. That's dollars, so it gets converted to my currency, and they take their 30% and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But hey, fucking, we're out here. I've been full time on it for 5 years. And
Wow.
yeah, so I'm trying to build a new game company now based in Wales. I'm trying to bring new people on board and working on a new game, like a cyberpunk game,
Hell yeah.
like a life simulator RPG. And at the same time, I'm running a punk band. I'm the frontman of a punk band, so we're touring around South Wales, and we're going to do a tour of England, hoping to hit America as well at some point.
That's
And
awesome.
mostly
Hey,
that's just me fucking screaming and shouting on stage, throwing foam bricks at people's heads and jumping into the audience and fucking fighting the cunts.
hey, come to Washington. Come to Oregon.
Yeah, it's mostly a good time. Oh yeah, man. But But yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure out exactly who I am and what I'm doing, but just trying to have fun, man. Just trying to do the shit I enjoy, chase my passions and dreams. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? A nice house and
Yeah, I
Cardiff,
mean,
hopefully.
sounds like you've got a very solid idea of who you are. To me, honestly,
Fuckhead.
anyone
That's who
who's
I am.
following their passions and is focused on what they want, I think that's a very good start.
Cheers, man. I appreciate that.
Um, wow. So you're full time on Warsim for a long time. When did you start this new project? And kind of like what's the aims with that one?
Yeah, so it's been a weird one. So I've been full time on Warsim for about 5 years now. I think it was maybe 2019 that it properly started to become a full time job, and then obviously COVID hit, and I was like, well, what am I going to do now? So all in. But yeah, for the new game, um, about 2 years ago, me and a buddy of mine started working on some potential games, and kind of a complicated situation. But essentially, me and him, it didn't work out creatively, and yeah, we sort of abandoned the idea of working together, and it went a bit awkward. And I had a period of time where I was like, okay, so that was my focus or post Warson was to work on a game with this guy, and that flopped. So I was like, right, what do I do now? And I was thinking of different things that I was going to pivot into, and I wasn't sure like where I was going to go. And in the end, I thought like new game, just a new game on my own, right? So I started thinking about how I was going to do it, and I started to think about the scale and what I wanted to do, and I realized that what I wanted, I definitely wouldn't be able to achieve on my own. So I did a bit of research, and I managed to find somebody that was a good fit, and we got working together. And so we've been working on this project for about, I think, 11 months now, maybe, or not 10 months, something like that. A fair amount of time. Solid tech demo. The guy's been working amazingly. He's a fucking genius. And now I'm looking at getting more people on board. I'm looking at getting some grants from my local government for hopefully hiring people in Wales specifically, because we haven't got a very big economy, tiny population, and very little of any kind of games industry. And I'd really love to be like the premier fucking game studio in my country and, contribute a bit to the GDP. But
Mhm.
the concept for the game is I'm quite a big fan of life simulation games, and I feel like honestly no one has ever
No.
really taken them seriously. They're pretty slept on, and never been made into anything good in my opinion. So you've got like games like The Sims. I get it. Like a lot of people like them. They were cool, right? But I don't know. They don't scratch the itch. I love games like Fallout. I love games like Skyrim. Games where you've got a world where you can throw yourself into it, and there's also all kinds of crazy shit that happens. The problem is you restart the game, and then you have to go through the same shitty fucking storyline, and it's just boring, man. When you've done it 100 times. And so what I want to do is make something where a world is generated for you, following a rule set you've defined, and then you're thrown into it. But it's not a grand RPG where you're the king of everything or you're the chosen one or any of that shit. You're just some guy chucked in the deep end in some vaguely futuristic, crusty capitalist world. And so what do? Right? Well, you can get a job working in Slimeburger, hitting your slime burgers together and making a bit of money. And maybe go and buy some video games and then you can play them in your apartment, which you pay rent for, that sort of thing. Essentially, what I want to make is a kind of low key power fantasy where the player can achieve in game what they might struggle to achieve in life at the moment. So, like, you might be able to get on the property ladder if you work hard enough. You might be able to buy a massive collection of video games. And I've got plans for a really weird procedural generation type thing for it where, if I get, say, 50 different mini games developed, I can have millions of different variants of those video games as an item that you can find. So you might find one where it's broken or one where it's scratched up, so it may not work when you put it in your console. Or you might find one where the game glitches out. Or maybe you find a bootleg version where it's a really shitty stickman version of the game you thought you were going to play that you bought off a guy on a bus stop. I want to really make this weird kind of crazy world. And then the idea is obviously, well, what do you do in it? Well, I want to throw sort of quest strings at the player wherever they lean. So if the player doesn't leave their house, occasionally people will knock on your door. It could be a crazy religious cult. It could be someone delivering a pizza, but it's the wrong house. It could be your neighbor complaining about the sounds coming from your TV. But maybe you work on a job, you make a friend, your friend calls you sometime, and sort of leaning on the sort of systems you see in like the GTA games where it's like, cousin, let's go bowling, like that sort of thing. But maybe he's like, hey, bro, you want to come smoke some space weed? And now your UI is wiggling and there's weird shit happening. Like so it's an ambitious game. It's scarily ambitious, but I'm trying to hopefully build something where it's a really deep RPG in a very weird world that constantly evolves. I think one of the things I want to do, which I guess is kind of taking a leaf out of Warsim, is I don't want to make this in a year or two. This is going to be a very long project where I'm hoping, maybe 6 years or more. Possibly early access at some point during that journey, but I really want to spend time crafting and building something that has the chance to be like a serious contender as like a major indie game. Because Warsim is cool. I really enjoy what I've done with it. You know, it's insane that 100,000 people have played it, but it's very limited in what it is and how it is. And it'll probably never be anything mainstream in the indie sphere. You know, I'm still hoping I can breach the general crowd of indie game fans, you know, and maybe make it kind of like a Dwarf Fortress-esque game where people know that it's been in development for such a long time that there's obviously lots of weird shit to do in it, but I'm acutely aware that it's ASCII-ness and it's running out of CMD. You know, it's quite limited in its audience, even though it's kind of, I don't know, I guess low-key blown up. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on. It's going to take a long time, and I'm definitely nervous about it. I've also like founded a company this year specifically because I'm going to be bringing people on to like work for the game company and stuff, and all of that is I'm very much out of my element and trying to figure it all out while also doing the band stuff, running Warsim, etc. It's a nightmare, but hopefully we'll get there in a couple of years' time. You'll know the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Shit,
That
that
sounds
sounds
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm
How
hyped for
scary
it.
is that to
I'm
bring on
fucking myself.
all
I
these
really want to
people?
play it, and it doesn't exist.
It's probably the worst part. Yeah.
That's probably
It
the
is
best
the
way
worst
to
part.
game dev, though, right? Like make something you want
Yeah.
to play. I think we see that a lot in the industry of people like making what they think consumers want, right? But
Oh, it's the worst.
yeah, it
It's like you
sucks.
got some board of directors, and they've got like, oh, yeah, well, people love battle royale, and people also love this, and you put it together, and you make something that no one ever asked for because some fucking corporate team said it was right, and they put 80 million into it, and then hundreds of people get fired. Fuck AAA.
Or like the PlayStation game where they put like 400 million into it.
Oh god,
And
what,
then rip
Concord or some
it off the
shit?
Concord.
shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a load of
Yo, low
shit.
key
What a load
Concord
of shit.
rocked.
No, this guy loved
Oh,
Concord for no
imagine.
I
reason.
fucking loved that game, bro.
Hey,
It's
respect to you, man.
upsetting. It's
Respect to you.
gone. It sucks for
But you know
everyone
what though?
involved.
Imagine if they took
Yeah.
that 400 million and they gave 1 million to 400 dev teams or 400 indie teams and said, make us something with
Oh my
passion and heart.
god.
How much money would Sony make? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why are they like this?
They can make
Why are
their
they so
own UFO
fucking blind
50.
and greedy? Oh, UFO 50. What a
Dude, that
fucking
game's
game that is,
so
man.
good. You've been on that shit too?
I've been addicted. I've been addicted, man. I've been playing through.
This is gonna be unrelated for most people, but
Go on.
what's your favorite one? What's top 3 mini games?
It's tough. It's tough. Probably my favorite is Quibble Race. Just because it's like it's so fucking weird, man. It's so cracky. And then
Yeah.
I quite like House Party as well, to be fair. And I'm trying to think. There's so many games that like stick out. But there's some of
That's
them, and
so
it's like
funny.
I play them, but they're not as fun as the other games. I'm playing them because I want to get the fucking completion. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you want
I
that
know
little
I'm struggling with the top three, to be honest.
gold icon.
I quite like the dinosaur tower defense type game. That's quite fun. Um,
I like that one too.
and
My favorite's Campanella 1, the little UFO bopping
yeah,
around.
I know Campanella one. It's cool.
It
It's cool.
rocks.
I didn't get too far into it, but I liked it. I was really surprised by the other Campanellas, though. They're very different games.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat the first one
The
completely and then
Campanella
go on
2
to the
is like a
second one,
weird, like
but
open world thing where
it's a bitch.
you drop
It's not
yourself
an easy
down on the map
game.
and you can leave the ship. And then Campanella 3 is like a completely different game. It's very weird.
Oh,
It's
what
like
the
a
hell?
shooting in a cube
Oh,
kind of thing.
I'm glad I finally have someone to talk about it with. We should start our own podcast and leave Wyatt behind because this fucker won't play it. So
I just haven't got it yet.
Oh, mate, you
Chill.
should check it out. It is awesome. To be fair to them, like respect to the devs who made that because obviously they've been working on it for 9 years, but it shows. Like it's insane. They literally
Mhm.
made like an entire fake genre of games.
Oh, I was gonna ask, what did you code Warsim in? Is it
So Warsim is coded entirely in C++, and
okay?
I wrote it from scratch.
Okay,
So
wow.
there's no engine. There's fuck all else. It started off with a hello world, like 6 lines.
I
And now there is
yeah.
maybe 700,000 lines.
Is it like all switch statements? Like
Oh wow, there's definitely also if statements, bro. Come on.
are you ever worried about breaking that? Like, how often in your like
Well, I
tinkering
mean,
around do you just
I break it all the time, man. That's the great part. I break it all the time. But I've got backups, and I don't know. I think like sometimes I'll edit some code externally. So like right now, I'm making nukes for Warsim. And I'm
course.
currently actively coding the consequences of that in a separate interface, and then I just paste the code in when I know it's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a little spoiler for anyone.
Yeah, hey, little sneak peek.
Not yet released, but we get fucking Warsim nukes before we get GTA 6.
How do nukes work in a
gonna
Warsim
say.
fantasy game?
Well, hey, let me tell you. So I don't know if you guys are aware of it, what a teraton is. Have you come across that in your playing?
I don't.
I
A
saw
late
you
game thing.
posting about it, and that you added it for people that needed more, right?
Yeah, so basically a while ago, there was an update called Empire Mode, which added the ability for you to attack an entire faction for their entire amount of lands all at once. So previously, you'd have to, if you got a kingdom with 50 lands, you'd have to invade them 50 times, which obviously is tedious as hell. But if you get Empire Mode, so you have more than 50 lands, you can do a total invasion. So you attack everybody at once, and if you win, you take their entire kingdom. And the problem was, this previously didn't exist. So getting like a ridiculously big late game was hard. But as
Mhm.
soon as Empire Mode existed, people were sweeping up empire after empire after empire. And people really started to push the limits of Warsim after that. And there were some power players that hit like, there was one guy who hit a unit that had 2.1 billion battle score, for example. Like, I've never seen that in the game. I didn't even know it was possible, but this guy just obviously was there tinkering and experimenting with late game expansion. And the one problem also was that people kept hitting the money limit. So what I did was added a thing where once you hit 1 billion, the economy collapses, and then all your money is worth 10 times less. People didn't like that, so I had a thought about it. It was like, okay, well, what else can we do? So that still happens if you let it go too far. But if you go past 1 billion, you unlock an option to essentially turn it into a gigantic gold cube.
Oh,
And once you do
awesome.
that, you can unlock. That's a teraton, basically. It's 1 billion gold in one cube. And once you do that, there's like a new tier of upgrade that costs 1 teraton. So you get a teraton arena, which is like the supreme version of the arena. You can get a teraton tower, and it's like you can unlock all these crazy things and technologies. You can reach God. You can make some kingdoms like go from being like complete savages to like really advanced stuff like that. There's a few different things. I'm trying to remember what they all are. And what I'm adding now is the ability to build like a gigantic teraton catapult. So this already costs 1 billion. But
Mhm.
then afterwards, if you have more teraton, you can launch one of those teratons at any kingdom, and essentially it will instantly wipe them out and give them like a total apocalypse. So it's hella expensive, but if you want to drop a teraton nuke, that's your flex, you can do it. So that's what I'm going to add. Very late game, but I think it's fucking hilarious, to be honest, so why not?
Yeah, if you just want to be a god that nukes people when you get enough money.
Exactly. Yeah, why not? Why not? Drop
Yeah.
nukes, scorched earth, man.
I can't say I got close to 1 billion in my time.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to me very often either, to be honest.
I love that
Bankrupt
people
the entire city.
just see how much they can break the game though. You know?
Oh yeah. People have been doing that shit for years, man.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. I think the craziest thing I ever saw was someone was like, I'm doing a Warsim speed run, and I was like, what does that even mean? And then he uploaded a 2-minute video, and I was like, well, I'm gonna watch it and see what this guy's doing, man. Let's let him cook. And so immediately he launches the game, he goes on like hard mode or something, or like moderate mode or whatever. And the first thing he does is he sells all his troops, gets like the cheapest units, and immediately attacks the bank. And I'm like, what is he doing? And he destroys the bank, takes all the money from the bank, buys a map, buys all the maps to the fucking south, goes to the demon gate, because it's really early game. Normally, like what happens is I don't know if you've gotten this far, but like there's a demon horde in the background, and they start at like 10 troops, but every year more of them grow and grow and grow until eventually they hit like 1,500, and then they rise as a faction and they just start attacking everybody.
Mhm.
And they grow in the background, so it's a hidden threat. But at any point, you can find them and attack them before they've gotten to the point where they're big. And normally, players who maybe beeline for the south will find them when they're at like 500 or 600. But this dude bought the maps, went and attacked them, caught them really early on, and then went through the demon gate, killed the demon overlord, won the game in like a minute and a half. And I was like, what the fucking hell, man? I haven't seen anything like that before. But
Yeah.
that was fun. I do enjoy that sort of shit.
Is that like a hard coded in like kind of like Minecraft has like a quote unquote ending, but it's not really an ending? Is like beating the demon lord?
Well, I guess it was like originally the big bad.
Okay.
There isn't really like a conventional victory screen in Warsim. There is like a hidden like late game victory screen where if you hit like 25,000 lands, it's like, dude, you won. You can stop now. But people still play past that, obviously. But yeah, very few people will ever touch that anyway.
Yeah.
I guess like it's kind of in Warsim's nature that it's like almost like a kind of an infinite game depending on how you want to play it. If you want to, you obviously keep going, keep expanding and wiping people out. Although I don't know, I think I still want to expand that late game and try and make it more interesting because I think that's the problem. Some of the things get a bit repetitive when you've played it for like 500 hours or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Nukes will
But
help with that.
we're always cooking. We're always cooking. There's always more stuff to add and change.
Yeah.
What are
When
some
are
of your favorite additions? Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm just curious.
Sorry,
What
what
are
was
some of
that?
your favorite what are some of your favorite like funny things you've added in, or like smaller scale things? Maybe some random encounters that are just like your pet favorites.
Oh, do you know what? It's so fucking hard to think because, like, legitimately, like, I'm adding Terraton nukes right now, right? This will take me a week,
Yeah.
and then, in 6 months' time, I won't remember I even did it. And I've been doing that for 9 years, and that's Warsim. There are so many, like, I get caught off guard sometimes. Like, it happened to me. I was playing, maybe 6 months ago, right? And I was playing a little test playthrough. I got really sucked into it, and then I was fighting this kingdom of like fire orcs or something, and I had them on the like last couple of lands, and I was like, oh, they're fucked. And I went to attack them, and then I got a pop up, and it said that the king of the fire orcs had burned down his entire kingdom rather than let me have it. And I forgot that that was a thing. I'd never seen it. It must be a super rare thing. I was just like, what the fuck? And for a moment, I freaked out and was like, as the code becomes sentient or something, like, what is happening here? But it obviously was just something I'd added like years and years ago, probably like 8 years ago or something, and not really thought about. But yeah, I guess when things catch me off guard, that's probably one of my favorite moments of Warsim, like the proc gen, those sorts of things. Like that does not get stale. Like proc gen races, they still surprise me to this day.
Mm.
Um, yeah, some of my favorite things. I think I quite enjoy the gnome village. Like everything about the gnome village is hilarious. Like teaching the gnomes gambling and having their society collapse and all that shit, fucking hilarious. And there's a rare encounter where if you've unlocked the gnome village, you've taught them gambling, and you've also visited the hidden vampire city and opened their gate, and then made it where they sort of have like an open connection to the world. Vampires will leave and occasionally flow out into the world and become like wild vampires, and they'll cause problems. But if there are wild vampires that exist in your world and a gambling gnome society, there is a rare chance that vampires will visit the gnome town, and it unlocks a handful of little mini encounters and things they're doing. And one of them is that if you go into one of the big casinos, there's a high stakes room. And one of the vampires will walk up and go, "High stakes? This is outrageous!" And they'll get really fucking angry at you or angry at the gnomes for basically putting the word stakes on the wall. I'll have like a proper kick off. That cracks me up.
That's great.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to rack my brain, to be honest. There's just so many weird things. Like there's a hidden fucking pig champion in a rock you've got to rub like 50 times.
I found a couple like
So many weird
rocks that you had to rub. I didn't get to 50,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of rock rubbing in the north. Put it that
yeah.
way. I think, yeah, there's like 5 or 6 stones there, but I think it's the strange stone or the something like that is the one that's got the pig champion in it. But there's so many weird things. Like I can't even think. It's like there's so many that there's none in my brain. You know what I mean? Like I
Mhm.
can't think of one that
Mhm.
stands out from the rest because it's just a sea of random shit.
How do you decide whether you're gonna put in something like silly in, or if you're going for like a mechanic you want to add when you're updating? It's just whatever comes to your head basically that you think might be fun to put in
Oh
the
yeah.
game, you just throw in.
Yeah, there's not really ever been any like serious rhyme or reason to it. Like I've tried to have like a proper dev cycle, and it can be hard because I mean as a programmer, like I can say like, oh yeah, I want to build I don't know, I want to build a new fortress that you can recruit goblins from, and they do this and they do that, whatever. It's easy to say that sentence, but to create that, well, it could take an hour if I work really hard and everything just lines up perfectly and actually it wasn't as hard as I thought. Or it could actually take like a couple of weeks if there's some stuff I didn't envision and I'm like, oh wait, it needs to interact with this and I need to connect this over and how does this work? I need to test this. So it can be really hard to like estimate how long it takes to create stuff. But over the years, I've had a lot of conversations with like fans of Warsim and people who've had like suggestions and ideas. And there's always at any point in time been a list of at least 1,000 things. I think currently I've got a list of 3,000 things,
Wow.
and some of those individual lines are things that could be added in 10 minutes, and some of them are things that like that single line alone would take like 6 months. So it's outrageously big, and 100% there's no humanly possible way that I could complete the entire list in my lifetime. But what I do is I'll go through it and I'll be like, oh, do you know what? That is a good idea though, and I'll cherry pick it and think, how can I do it? And then I make like a big plan, and then usually I'll make a really big plan, like of like all the different ideas and brainstorm. And then what will happen is like I'll get into it, I'll realize like what needs to be done, and then I might remove some of the outer parts of that plan and be like, right, okay, I don't need like to go super deep in that area. I'll just, add this stuff, or maybe go super deep in one area and ignore the other, and just build what I can until I get to a point where I'm like, this is good, this is nice, and I'll put it out. And then on occasion, I lock myself into agreeing to do something massive, and then I'm in a hole for a couple of months. So that happened with the combat update. That was a fucking nightmare. That took me like 6 months basically of
Oof.
working like day in day out programming. It was so hard. And then and that was my fault. It was because I made a combat system in 2015 that by 2019 2020 I was just like, this system is so outdated. But by then the game was so big that all the areas that it interacted with were just endless. So I had to go through and rewire like hundreds of thousands of lines of code. It was a nightmare, but I did it. It managed to work in the end. And then the other one was the Lands Beyond was probably the most recent one. So people have been talking for ages about how um, exploration was obviously quite repetitive because it's the same areas every time, right? They don't change. There are things that evolve, like so the black market has random leaders, like certain areas do have randomization. For the majority of the locations, they are kind of the same. So no matter how many times you play Warsim, you're gonna have the same set of locations. What I wanted to do was add like the ability to explore, um, like essentially completely random locations that disappear once you're done with them. So it's essentially like you're exploring these distant and vague lands and you'll never be able to get back to them. But I didn't want to do it just lightly, I didn't want to make like a few canned encounters and be like, hey, there we go, it's infinitely blah blah, like because it's not true, right? So instead, I made a massive plan, and I think there's one like there's I'm trying to think of how many core encounters there are, probably like 40. But one of them was like you find a war camp in the wild, right? That's it. It's simple. And that encounter alone took me 2 months because I added something like 148 different types of war camp, where some of them then had like several variants. And I think
Mhm.
I realized there was over like 1,000 different variants because, like, okay, you find a village of gnomes, or like you find a war camp of gnomes, but what type of gnomes are they? Well, they could be happy gnomes, sad gnomes, they could be demon gnomes, they could be, you know what I mean? And I definitely just bit off way more than I could chew. And I think after 2 months of that, oh, fucking hell, that was stressful. But hey, we got it done in the end, and I think it was definitely worth the effort. But I don't like locking myself into massive stuff like that because it means it makes it so that it's really hard for me to release things and keep the community active. So I much prefer like when I'm pissing about and I bug test, I find like loads of bugs, fix them, and I go, hey, I should add this, or I'm gonna add this weird little thing here, and you know, pay attention to some ideas that people suggest, and especially the ones that are more doable. Like someone's like, hey, it'd be really cool if we could have this little menu here. I'll go through and do that if it's nice and easy, little to simplify certain things or a small expansion to stuff. But yeah, the development's been all over the place. Basically, there's no rhyme or reason, no plans, no rules,
Is
just
that-
chaos, which I think is definitely the Warsim way, really.
Yeah, well then someone's like, hey, I
Now
want
we've
to
gotten such a weird game.
let's get some fucking nukes in here, and get some war
Oh,
crimes.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. We can do
Yeah.
anything, really, can't we? That's a good thing. Yeah. So that is definitely why Warsim is the weird game that it is, because it is just whatever the fuck I feel like whenever I feel like it for 9 years, basically, for the most part. Obviously, listening to a lot of people's suggestions over the years. Although I do internally cry now when I see someone post like a 16 paragraph suggestions list.
Yeah.
I will read it.
Well, they probably think
I
you're
mean,
just
you could
sitting
just
there
not read it.
twiddling your thumbs, You're just waiting for them to to let you know what you need to do.
Some people definitely do think that. But no, to be honest, anyone who shares anything about Warsim, I respect it. You know what I mean? Because it's
Mhm.
someone sharing something about something I created, something I'm passionate about, and that's passion coming from their end. You know what I mean? If you write in 16 paragraphs of passions for the game, it's because you care about it. So it means a lot. It's just I'm one man and I'm very stretched thin over here. But I read every single comment, every single thing. Like we got front paged on Steam for 24 hours, like a month ago, and I had legitimately 4,000 comments, emails, DMs. I got through all of them. It took me 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was insane. But hey, fucking, all those people cared about the shit. I thought I'd give them a valid shake.
Yeah, I think it's clear to me, just like with your scrolling through your Discord and Twitter and everything, how tight like the community you've created is. And I think all that is definitely because of your attitude towards how you're treating the community. respecting everyone that's coming out for you, and then also like we talked about earlier, like making the game you want, making the game you want to see in the world. As cheesy as that sounds, um,
Hell yeah, man.
seriously awesome. It's so cool. I'm think I'm gonna kind of start segueing this out of here. I have to start getting ready for work, which sounds insane at 4 in the morning. Um,
That is disgusting.
but yeah, it's vile. It's truly vile. I hate this life.
Horrible.
Um, hopefully someday we can be independent jabronis like you and live
Oh
our
yeah, fucking
live our
do it, man.
best
If
lives.
you ever need any help or tips, man, you got me on Discord, so don't be a stranger.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Shit.
fucking
Yeah.
3
Oh,
4
you're the
a.m.
coolest
stuff,
guy.
man. No one needs that shit.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. I appreciate
No.
that.
No. Yeah. Um, do you wanna say some final words before we close ourselves out here? Maybe pitch just like one
Uh,
last time who you are. You never said the name of the game dev studio you're trying to create. Maybe if you've got that locked and loaded.
yeah, well, to be fair, I've never actually mentioned it publicly because it's one of those things where it's being cooked slowly, so I don't want to fucking shoot my shot too early.
Mm-hmm.
Get people excited about something that's not going to be out for so long. But yeah, nah, I haven't got anything really to say. Fuck AAA.
There you
There we
go.
go. Boom.
There it is.
This time we're
Boom.
sinking
Oh,
AAA
shit.
studios.
Yeah, fuck AAA. All my homies hate AAA, man. Buy UFO 50, buy Warsim, buy Kenshi.
Yeah.
And
Boom.
have I missed something
I've never
in
played
terms
it, but
of the gaming?
I've seen Kenshi a good bit. And that game looks like it rocks.
Honestly, I don't understand how one dude made that. I do not get it. It's crazy. It's one of those games where like
Says you.
it's not great in some areas, right? Like it has some crust, but it does stuff that so many other AAA games wish they could do. It's insane. Like they've built a world that's like Morrowind, but it's somehow wackier and crazier and more varied. Like it's one of the most large open worlds I've ever seen. Like because getting around it is not easy. You can't just guarantee you can walk north and you'll keep going north. Like you're gonna die.
You
You will always die.
get like captured by
You're gonna get
slavers
fucked up
and lose your limbs.
and they yeah, but that's the crazy thing. Like, you don't get a game over screen when you get captured. Nah, you're there for like a week, just getting your limbs chopped off and stuff. Oh, someone's come in and attacked the camp. Now everyone's dead and they've freed you. But what you got no legs. Well, crawl your way back to the hometown, I guess. Like, and if you survive that, your stats are higher because you got beaten, but you survived, right? So it ups your toughness. And it's like you keep playing for ages, you end up with these badass characters with fucking weird limbs and fucking all these weird adventures and stories you built. It's such an incredible game, honestly. Like Kenshi too. I don't know. That'll be another fucking classic, I'm sure. But yeah, I do not understand how that guy made that game.
One line at a time,
Another
right?
fucking
might
fuck
have
play
just,
moment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You might have just picked out the next game serial game right there with that pitch.
It's $30. We
Let's
could do
go.
it though. You never know.
Oh no,
It's 3 boxes of cereal.
no. Shit. Okay. Well, I mean, like, seriously, thank you for giving us the time to talk to us, and watch our content, and share our content with your Discord and like your community, because that we saw much bigger numbers on that video. I think because
Oh
of you
yeah.
and you guys over there. Um, yeah. So we'll do an outro, I think, and an intro for our like actual video, so we don't have to do that here. But really, it's just me and Wyatt thanking you
Yeah, man.
for this
I
and
respect,
making
man.
Warsim,
Well,
which is a fucking sick ass game.
And hey, years down the
hell yeah.
line, we'll be first in line for the Cyberpunk game.
Oh yeah, man. It's called but keep that quiet for now, right?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Such a good name.
Yeah, no, I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get a bunch of local bands to like make the soundtrack for the game, and I've already thought of what I'm going to name my own character. It's gonna be called Jeremy Serious. I'm gonna make songs about
Real
how I
serious
work in the
guy.
meat cube factory, but I put my dick in the meat cubes.
Oh yeah, as you do.
Real
Be very
Fight
angry
Club of you.
clone punk.
Yeah.
Fuck the government. Fuck.
And fuck some meat cubes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm so fucking excited for it, man. I can't wait.
That'd be awesome.
I can't either. Yeah.
Time
You're
travel.
you, just hearing you talk about the shit that you work on gets me excited about it too. The
Hell yeah,
passion
man.
is there.
Ah, that means a lot. That means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come to Wales. We'll make it happen.
Hell yeah, man.
That'd be
Yeah, I
so
can show you
cool.
the fucking calf trail.
Oh yeah.
Probably not as interesting as the Oregon Trail, but it
You
goes around
know.
some cool nature. And we have
You'd
got
be
like
surprised how
500 castles here, so
Oh my gosh.
those were always cool. Sadly, they were mostly built to make sure we didn't rebel against the English, but you know, it is what it is.
well, yeah, that's most of the planet, actually, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you guys managed to escape, and so did the Irish. So
It's
there's hope
possible.
for us.
Maybe one day, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I have no doubt in my mind if there was a large body of water between Wales and England, we would be an independent nation too. But sadly, we're
Yeah.
connected by land, so
It's a damn shame for
yeah,
you.
it is. It is. But you know, it is what it is. I'm still
I think
holding out hope for Welsh independence.
I think AAA and the bourgeoisie have committed war crimes on probably about equal scales. I
I'd
think
love to hear
it's
about the war crimes of
something
the
we can all
AAA.
agree on.
Microtransactions.
They got those fucking slave gambling mines.
I was gonna say promoting
child
gambling, but
casinos.
there's so much gambling in Warsim. I don't know if we can put that against AAA.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's not real money, so like that's cool. But yeah, it wasn't even intended. That's so annoying as well. I'd never even intended to have gambling in Warsim, and it just kind of became a thing that I put everywhere. So
It's
like,
so funny to me.
I was like, well, there's games you can play. Why not bet money on them, right? It just adds an extra dimension to them. But nah, fuck me. Like the average player just gambles to make the money to avoid the difficulty level, and then
Yeah.
people go,
That's what
"Oh,
I
it's
did.
too easy because gambling." Like I'm like, fuck. What do you want me to do? Like,
I
Yeah,
had a
I-
question.
we'll get there.
I got the event that was like you get double payouts, or you can bet like double for gambling or something this year, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go crazy real quick.
Shit.
Put the whole kingdom on the line.
Putting the kingdom on red.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh man. Imagine you got two kingdoms though. That'd be cool. Instead of like double money, it's just like now you've got another kingdom now, bro. You got two kingdoms. I'm gonna put those two kingdoms on red, and it comes up. You get 4 kingdoms.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
New event chain unlocked. All right. Well, I'll probably fucking chip now. I'm gonna go gym, but fucking respect to you for working super early, and I'm sorry that you guys had to do this so early in the morning, man. I didn't check the fucking
no.
timescales, but I figured this would be a bit better for us both. But I didn't know
No,
that
this
it was
was
this
great.
early for you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
This was perfect.
I'm up this early a lot anyway, so I was fine with it. It's really just Foster getting up a bit earlier than
And I
he normally
don't matter.
would. Yeah,
My
exactly.
well-being is inconsequential. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't tell if you're up early or up late.
I definitely
Yeah.
slept before I have woken up here, so I'm up
Okay,
early. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a
I
part
feel
of
like
me
that's
though
probably better.
that was like I could
I
just
was like, I could just stay up all night.
yeah. But then I have to work like 8 hours and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, you'd be doing a fucking podcast with your sleep paralysis demon if you stay up 24 hours. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Funny, though.
I'm peacing out. Seriously. Thanks again, man. Yeah, keep in touch. We'll try and do the same.
Hell yeah, man. Well, honestly, message me anytime. I don't ignore messages, so fucking
Get you on as a little
Well,
Maybe
feature on
maybe
the
in the future
on the
we'll get you on
podcast.
if we do it. Yeah.
yeah, man. Fucking potentially. Let me know fucking times and dates in it, and we'll slot some stuff in.
Yeah, hell
Alright.
yeah.
Wyatt,
Sweet.
Foster, you're good cunts, man. Have a nice fucking rest of your early ass morning.
Appreciate it. Have a great time of your
Thanks,
very
man.
average afternoon.
Whoa. Oh my God,
Shots fired. Shit.
Oh.
I know, right?
Okay, hello. This is Wyatt of Game Serial. Just wanted to give an actual outro here. Thanks again to Hugh Millward for coming on, talking to us a bit about his current game and his new game coming out, and it's just bits about life and death and taxes and gambling. And Warsim, Realm of Aslona, is on Steam. It's currently 50% off up to November 13th. This video should be coming out the 8th. It was supposed to come out earlier. It didn't happen. Things happen. The nuke update talked about is out now. You can now nuke people. So you can go and nuke anyone you want and Warsim if you get enough money, I guess. Yeah, shout out again, Hugh Millward. Go buy the game. half off. There's a collector's edition. I don't know if it's still on sale. If there is and you really like the game, go pick up the collector's edition. And we will see you next time on Game Serial. Goodbye.